I was talking to Nagaraj. I said, you know that Sairat destroyed Marathi cinema. The success of Sairat. Because suddenly people realize that there's a possibility to make so much money. KGF 2, whatever big the success, when you try to emulate that and set a project up,
Yeah, you can't.
that's when it starts heading towards disaster.
I had made a video on pan-India obsession in Indian cinema in 2023 on how this obsession may be a slippery slope, and almost 2 years later, I think it has gone from bad to worse. In a roundtable discussion with Bhardwaj Rangan, Anurag Kashyap spoke about how Sairat and its success may have ruined Marathi cinema for everyone hopped onto the race of making the next 100 crore project versus something they were creatively passionate about. This is of course something that does not fully represent Marathi cinema, as there are enough beautiful storylines, even projects that are not star-led, getting patronage in theatres. But this thought does beg the question, does a financial blockbuster beyond the confines of the state in the long run adversely impact the health of the industry? I want to shed light on this particular topic with specific focus on actors who fall under this category merely because of positioning, why such a pressure exists not only in the film industry but the environment created by fans, and how some actors are creatively and financially free, an ideal scenario to be in, and honestly, with my limited observations of the industry, a rarity to find in this day and age. Let's first discuss the most talked about actor who has been, in my opinion, adversely affected due to pan-India success: Prabhas. This is an actor who was loved within the confines of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana as their darling hero. An actor who had a charm and undeniable screen presence with his towering figure and who benefited from great collaborations with talented directors. While there were some inroads possibly in the Hindi market through some of the Hindi dub reruns on cable television, Prabhas never became a household name in the Hindi-speaking states until Bahubali released in theatres. It's interesting to observe how the initial reception of Bahubali in the Telugu-speaking states was actually mixed, and that the cast was pleasantly surprised that the Hindi-speaking states celebrated it like a tale never seen before, something that grew exponentially as the favorable word-of-mouth spread and the franchise became a global rage that I believe no one may have anticipated.
Suddenly, Katappa comes and kills the hero. And they didn't like it. It was shock and it was abrupt cut. So they never saw a film like that. And they didn't expect that and they were a little worried. For a little afternoon, evening, it was a very bad talk. So no one woke me up and I said, oh, what happened? I said, no, everything is fine. When I said, I said, Gaya. Bahubali one gaya.
What, however, this caused was for Prabhas to become a star you could mount massive projects with. This was huge, presumably, for the Telugu market. The industry was going to monetarily benefit with business coming from states beyond Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. What, however, the same industry did not anticipate was the pressure being put on Prabhas to deliver a national success consistently. Saho, the next project that came after Bahubali, through its teaser and trailer, presented such a slick, no-nonsense actioner. I am telling you, as a personal observer, I really thought that Telugu cinema was just cooking on a different level entirely. The film, however, became indulgent for its own good and spread itself too thin, with too many ideas versus a cohesive structure that could unanimously be celebrated. The pressure and the problems associated with Prabhas and the inflated budgets after this film, however, got out of hand, where Prabhas as an actor was not only commanding a huge acting fees, but the budgets of these movies would be in the vicinity of 300 to 500 crores on an average. So if the movies clicked, it would reap the benefits with great numbers. Yes, but if it failed, the losses would be as dramatic. You had projects like Radhesham and Adipurush, where even observers of the film, people associated with the project, were slightly taken aback by the sheer amount of money that was being thrown at the project.
Film that I worked on, they were efficient, but they were splurging a lot. Lavish productions, huge sets.
Salar and Kalki would benefit from being associated with talented directors who had the experience of mounting big projects. But this kind of high pressure consistently is bound to crash and burn. When Prabhas, who seems from a spirit and energy POV, drained recently, he even conveyed during the promotions of Radhesham on how he wants to do a small, sweet horror film. And the irony is that that same budget of Raja Saab presumably ballooned up to 400 to 450 crores and crashed and burned at the box office. If there is one wish and the result is exactly contrary to that, then there has to be a bit of introspection and personal responsibility reality as well. Prabhas as a star has to observe that these inflated costs and severe delays in projects are only adversely affecting the health of the industry, and one can invest solely on one project at a time versus several films at the same time, in turn adversely affecting projects and leading to them getting severely delayed, which anyway leads to an increase in budgets. This not only affects the projects but becomes clear to the naked eye of the viewer, who does not care about what happens behind the scenes but only cares about the product that they see. Then everything becomes immaterial when what is in the frame is just not convincing. The case with Fauzi and Spirit again is a lot of pressure due to them being extremely expensive projects, and I believe there has to be a tipping point where one needs to press the pause button. I especially feel this star-dependent system may provide us mid to poor products, but the lives adversely affected are the directors too, who spend years getting dates of stars and deal with one project coming out in the span of 5 years, something that Sujit experienced and many will, if one keeps on waiting for that one star to give them the schedule apt for the film. I think the Telugu audience especially would love a small understated drama or love story with Prabhas rather than everything becoming this larger than life spectacle just as an offer of variety, if nothing else. There is a term that you will hear everywhere, by the way, in Mumbai, positioning, and how if an actor is demanding a particular acting fee, if his last movie opened to a specific number on day one, the managers and the teams of these actors will ensure that nothing less is offered to them in the future. So essentially, these individuals are posing as companies on Shark Tank at this point. When you tell them that they should dictate their price by looking at the kind of film that they're doing, most don't understand that because that is a creative process. Sab dhanda ka game hai, and quotes less than what you asked for a few months ago is considered to be an indication of your value being compromised. Something I believe Amir Khan has said often just does not make sense.
When I'm doing a business transaction as a studio, I can't pay you on hope. I have to invest on surety. You start paying people based on the previous biggest hit ever,
Right.
and then hope that the next one will be bigger than that. That's not sound business, in my opinion.
Look at Yash and the predicament he finds himself in. The exterior may provide a picture that all is hunky-dory and they are ensuring that just the best quality gets delivered to the audience, but the consistent delays are an indication that all is not well. This may indicate several things as nothing has been confirmed: a stipulated number not being offered by streaming platforms, the final edit not being of the quality the makers first intended, and just recalibrating how the film lands when observing the mixed to negative response of the marketing material. What, however, people don't talk about is how the pressure to deliver an absolute blockbuster has made Yash invest more than 4 years to this project with mad and absolutely insane belief that they can do wonders at the box office. The budget presumably has ballooned up to close to 600 crores owing to several delays, and the question is, can this A-rated action film dubbed in English and Kannada set in India during the Portuguese rule of Goa that presents several known female actors and this wild energy resonate across states, languages, and age demographics? The pressure of Rocky Bhai becoming the sensation that he did has made the makers, KVN specifically, and Yash himself assume that the next has to be bigger and so audacious that audiences feel it is a worthy next step. The pressure has made actors be on this consistent loop that influencers who own prank channels found themselves in. Hear me out. The influencer gets dopamine hits of views with their wild antics, only assuming that the pranks have to get wilder and wilder, not knowing when to stop. The rage that Bahubali became for Telugu cinema, the rage that KGF became for Kannada cinema, provided them great riches and appreciation, but also led to the creation of poor imitators who fell flat on their face and consistent delays for the stars themselves, who felt that they had to hit a similar, if not bigger, home run.
Idea is, when Western audience watch this movie, they should feel familiar. They should not feel alienated also. At the same time, they should not feel like, I've seen this thing many times. They should feel the freshness. So that's the design.
Shah Rukh Khan in Hindi cinema currently is also in an odd trap. In the failures that he experienced post Dilwale, he was ridiculed, torn apart, and the headlines of major publications stated that his star power is totally finished. Here SRK was his most experimental self, where he was doing such wild and audacious projects that there was also a liberation in such creative choices. The financial results were disheartening, but SRK seemed the most free, where he could play a double role as his fictional star class self and obsessive fan, do cameos galore in his friends' projects, appear in a supporting role in a sweet and small film on mental health, and do a straight up gangster film as an anti-hero and provide possibly the most non-heroic ending. By the way, I believe it's SRK's best film in the last decade. Screw that, the man got shot up to Mars as a vertically challenged man. Nothing is more facepalm inducing than that. But he could afford to do it because the expectation of a blockbuster almost was a distant memory.
If you tell me not to do it, I'll do it again. And I'll do it worse if need be. And, when Ravan didn't do what I thought it should, I'm going to make it. I'll be a wheelchair, but I'll be a superhero. I'm not letting go of that. I will get it right.
SRK said that he will fall flat with several of his choices. He said that his long 4-year hiatus after Zero did not mean that he had procured some newfound wisdom and that he will keep on making mistakes.
I don't think so. I think I'm going to make the same mistakes I've made the last few years. I think it's not at all going to teach me anything different.
But when Pathaan became the blockbuster, and SRK specifically stated that from here on out, he will be doing movies that people love, then I believe a shift appeared where the star is not making decisions he instinctively feels, but projects that he knows people will tune in for. The calendar year that SRK experienced in 2023 was possibly the most fruitful one of his career financially, and this has compelled him to ensure that King is nothing less than a spectacle. A project that was initially supposed to be just Sohana Khan's launch in theatres suddenly transformed into this high-octane action thriller with half of Bollywood being roped in for the film and it essentially becoming an SRK film. The switch of what an SRK film now needs to be became even more abundantly clear when Sujoy Ghosh, the writer of the script, stepped down as director and Siddharth Anand joined the party, responsible for SRK's return at the box office. In the quest that one's value cannot be reduced, many filmmakers will fall into imitation and scaling up versus being creatively instinctual, and that is my biggest fear for the two actors who have experienced abundant success recently. Ranveer Singh as a leading man with Dhurandhar has shook the industry. The man had an inconsistent patch of movies prior to the behemoth absolutely causing mayhem at the box office, and since then everyone with bated breath has been waiting for his next choice. The mess and debacle with a project like Dawn 3 is still a hot topic of discussion. A reluctant settlement presumably was the result, but the same has been denied by official sources from Excel. It's undeniable that Ranveer is in the position of power currently in the industry. He is not the same actor who was consistently associated with projects that were getting cancelled. He is not the same actor anymore who was seen more off camera than being known for his body of work. Right now he is in the best but pressurizing position. What's absolutely wild though is that Ranveer's next project titled Pralay is being directed by Jay Mehta, Hansal Mehta's son, an artist who has only co-directed long-form content in the form of Scam 1992 with his father, and his only project as a solo director is the series Lotere. This is a lot of pressure on an artist, especially having not previously ever mounted a feature film with a star on such a scale. That is an entirely different ballgame altogether. I wonder how this turns out to be, but it seems like the biggest risk among his contemporaries, especially because he is putting the faith on a first-time feature film director. The case with Allu Arjun post the mammoth success of Pushpa is similar. The expectations were absolutely massive, and what he is trying to pull off with Atlee is daunting to say the least. A creature film with heavy reliance on CGI, prosthetics, and a world that seems post-apocalyptic is a wild swing. With this collaboration with Allu Arjun, Atlee and Sun Pictures, they seem to be going all guns blazing, as they should. With the technical departments that just needs to have the best professionals, the team has been visiting the facilities of Lola FX and several other departments to ensure that the creatures and the fantastical world created is something like never seen before. Deepika Padukone was roped in as the lead opposite Allu Arjun, and the sheer technology being integrated into the story made me really conclude that the investment in this project is really going to be a hefty one. This may be a creature battle in an alternate universe entirely, and I think it's a huge test for Indian cinema on whether it can pull off something of the scale of the Planet of the Apes franchise, especially the reboot trilogy from 2011 to 2017 that I believe progressed into becoming absolutely solid films. A huge uphill task if you were to ask me, because not only does it have to be technically sound, but also present a narrative that may be unique and immersive. The project presumably is being mounted on a budget of 700 to 800 crores. Again, this comes with the pressure of having to deliver an unprecedented blockbuster globally. Huge pressure for any artist or creator. This makes me think on whether it is a blessing in disguise that Lokesh's LCU somewhat fell apart as more movies released post Vikram. That Leo landing only within the confines of the Tamil market actually provides him more freedom to do what he wants versus being bound in only producing storylines from that connected universe. I think genuinely the success of Vikram, on the contrary, has put pressure on someone like Kamal Hassan, even at this age, to only deliver stylized action films. A legend who is known for such diverse storytelling and characters is now only featuring in slow motion action montages or reboots of his popular films, both of which failed miserably in the form of Thug Life and Indian 2. Now, with his collaboration with Rajnikant and Nelson directing the film, what cinema enthusiasts in me feel is a tad bit of sadness. For Kamal Hassan is so much more than the swagger in action, and this belief that one needs to do more of the same is only a result, I believe, of the financial success of a film like Vikram. This is where I feel like there is a liberation in the choices someone like Mammootty is making, controlling costs by producing projects himself and providing a diverse set of stories. If the films fail, they do, but it does not lead to industry-breaking losses where one needs to take drastic corrective calls in the future. The consistency with which the calendar year also offers 2 to 3 films with both Mammootty and Mohanlal also is hugely beneficial for the film industry, that allows for a more consistent patronage among cinegoers versus the long delays of star-led films, which seems to be the case for many as they scale their films to such unimaginable lengths that they only appear in theatres once in 2 to 3 years. We do give a lot of stick to the likes of Akshay Kumar and Ajay Devgan for the amount of releases they have in the calendar year, but they are one of the main reasons why exhibitors feel a sense of relief that at least there is some consistency of releases with stars. I feel the same for the freedom someone like Saif Ali Khan has at this stage of his career, not burdened by expectations, and one can simply be fluid, becoming the shape of whatever world filmmakers are trying to create. The saddest part is that the obsession of pan-Indian films has led to many stars abandoning stories that the core audience from their state loved and celebrated, the reason why they became stars in the first place. The sense of identity, the association with the language and the culture gets lost in the process of wanting to cater to everyone versus telling stories from the land that made you the star. Can Allu Arjun do an AVPL again? Can Junior NTR do an entertaining film like Adurs again? Can SRK do a random romantic drama with Tabu out of nowhere? Can Yash do a sweet romantic comedy like Googly again? Can Ranbir Kapoor work again with Imtiaz Ali or Anurag Basu on something whimsical and unique? It's sadly across the board a big no, and that's what makes this transition of star-led films bittersweet. We love the spectacle, but we like variation too. Hrithik Roshan has become so obsessed with the spectacle that needs to be created that he's not budging until Krish is made according to his vision with an insane budget that producers themselves are unwilling to invest. It's almost a roadblock in the psychology of stars now. The liberation of choice and a variety of them, not dictated by the value of one's last hit, is a huge luxury for an artist working in the medium of cinema today. The pressure to deliver bigger and bigger hits is not only leading to hollowness in projects, a sense of mundanity with repetition, but also sucking the life out of the industry financially, where the missteps lead to catastrophic consequences and production companies going under if said pattern continues. There is nothing more beautiful than to see Matt Damon star in a Netflix film with Ben Affleck and not be called an OTT star and still have the balance of doing an epic like The Odyssey. Robert Pattinson can appear in The Batman and still feature in indie projects like Die My Love and The Drama, and there isn't a discourse of him losing his aura points at the box office. On a side note, is it just me who cringed a bit when he said Daddy in the Odyssey trailer? Tom Holland saying my dad will come home also took me out. Is it the American accents? Let me know what you think. I mean, look at Brad Pitt. He gave one of his biggest hits with F1 and is acting and producing in a wide variety of films in the future, each different from the next. Tom Cruise, the one person everyone associates with only action films, is starring in a movie titled Digger, directed by Alejandro Inarritu. I mean, nothing can be more of a risk at the box office than this project. This obsession with big-scale movies being the only option after success is causing delays, ballooned budgets, and a huge burden of cost on production companies they never anticipated, making me scared that a bubble of businesses shutting down may be an inevitable reality. When we as an audience will stop writing eulogies for our stars with one failure, when the ecosystem generally starts believing that a blip is not a death wish and stops writing articles wiping them off as irrelevant has-beens and allows for diverse and creative choices, I think we will be in a much better place than today, where stars feel compelled to believe that bigger is indeed the only way and better. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below whether you think this pan-India obsession is only getting worse. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.